All right, all right, all right. All right, that's probably the best I could do rapping wise or any type of like in sync beat sort of situation there. But welcome everybody back to the charge. This is of course your boy Bernie here, giving it to you live on the charge. Like I said, bringing you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. I hope everyone is having a fantastic night, evening, or whatever time you're watching this at. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your day. Kind of the last bit of the Monday before we go back into Tuesday. And before we get into this whole ordeal, before we get into anything that we're going to talk about tonight, please remember to hit that like button and also remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Remember, the more likes and the more subscribes means that more people are interested in watching the channel. And so, without further ado, make sure that you do hit that button and let's get ready for it, guys. Today, of course, we got, the Warriors interested in a former NBA All-Star, so that's going to be a fun one to talk about. That's probably going to be our leading story. And then, of course, we got the Lakers lurking a little bit in the background right now as they try to plan their next maneuver to getting their next big, I would say, free agent pickup that's coming up relatively soon. And before we kind of do that, let me just make sure that we are live because I want to make sure that everything is good on the Charge stream. Looking like it so far. If we can get in there and we are good to go. Alrighty, everybody. Without further ado, let's get right into it. And our first story of the day, of course, is going to be the one that I think we're going to lead off with the most. And that's, of course, that the Warriors are actually interested in Victor Oladipo. The Warriors have been interested in trading for Victor Oladipo, sources tell Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer. With the cap space during the 2021 season, the Warriors are against at a time of limit to require Oladipo. Golden State's interest in Oladipo signals their intent to add another ball handler to their core. In addition to the departure of Kevin Durant and injuries to Klay Thompson, the Warriors have also missed the ball handling of Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston. Oladipo will be a free agent, most linked with the Miami Heat. What's up, EO? Russell Wilson to the Bears? Oh, man, that's actually a very interesting rumor. I did hear about that. We'll see if it happens. The Bears right now are, they're somehow making a resurgence right now after all this time. So, it will be a fun one to see if they can get that player. I mean, obviously, as a Seahawk, I would not want to lose him, but we'll see what happens. I'm not sure what else I'm not really I'm not sure what else the Seattle Seahawks could do. Besides, get a new line, but I think that's just going to take too much time, and I don't think that he'll appreciate that much. But to kind of go back to the story that we talked about here, Victor Oladipo is interested by, of course, like I said, the Golden State Warriors, and I think that this would actually be a nice little sneaky pickup. I think that his ability, his ball handling, I think that this guy, Victor Oladipo, would actually be a great fit for them. Another ball handler, a guy that's not necessarily the best shooter. I mean, we look at Victor Oladipo's stats throughout his career, kind of look at him. Relatively a low slowing, not really the best three-point shooter. This year so far has not been his best. In Indiana, he shot 36. And then in Houston, he shot 31. We got him shooting a 34% from the free throw line. From three-point land. And so, like I said, he's not the best three-point shooter because we look at Steph Curry, his numbers are in the 40s. We look at a guy like Klay Thompson, also kind of in the high 30s, almost low 40s. So I don't know if, they're really going to necessarily use him for three-point shot, but I think just another shot creator, a guy that can get his own shot without the need of Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or even, Kelly Oubre. Right now, I don't think that Kelly Oubre is playing the best at the moment. I mean, if we look at Kelly Oubre's stats compared to, we can kind of look at Oubre, and we can kind of look at Kelly Oubre and kind of look at what his ordeal is. I mean, again, his three-point percentage right now is a little bit higher than Victor Oladipo, but his points per game is kind of a little bit lower than what it was last year in Phoenix. Something that we also get from him is just low field goal percentage. I think that you'd probably have to give up Kelly Oubre at that point. And then it just becomes, Kelly Oubre just kind of being this trade piece that throughout time, that's like basically what everyone's going to trade for. So I kind of hope that doesn't happen for his career's sake. But we'll find out in the near future what you guys think of this. I mean, Again, not really too much news because the NBA hasn't really started yet. It starts on Thursday, I believe, if not on Wednesday. So of course, there's not really much NBA basketball talk to be had. But in terms of like what's going on right now, we of course had the All-Star game. I knew that Team LeBron was just going to kill it. I mean, too many playmakers, too many shooters, and when you have Steph Curry and Dame Lillard on the same team, that's just like that to me is like one of the dangerous splash bros. I mean, we can even look at this highlight right here. I mean, look at this. Steph Curry loses the ball, somehow is able to get back to it. Look at this. Loses the handle, and then just says, you know what, I'm just going to pull it. I'm going to just pull it. And man, he is a really good shot, man. He's so good. It's actually crazy how good he is. Obviously, he's one of those guys that definitely needs another superstar with him. But man, like his 3-point shooting, like I just think like LeBron said, it's kind of the future of the league. I mean, LeBron didn't say this. I think everybody kind of knows the writing on the wall for the NBA. I mean, the way that these guys are kind of hoisting half-court shots and they're going in, it's going to be interesting to see how offenses are run. If people are able to somehow hit that shot with consistency. I mean, obviously, Dame and Steph are like the top of the top as it pertains to athletes. So, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But this is kind of like the interesting news from the Ringer, like I said, from Kevin O'Connor. If we kind of click on the article, it talks about kind of the power rankings for everybody. We got them at number 2. But this is just a power ranking system. I'm not really too worried about that. The Ringer's kind of into that, but I think the Warriors, like you said, could definitely use Victor Oladipo. I think he's a great fit alongside him as a guy that can create his own shot. I mean, if we look back at his stats once again, I mean, we look at his kind of field goal percentage, it's really low. I mean, it's not like Kelly Oubre is that much better. I mean, it depends on what you think. Like, if you think that, obviously Kelly Oubre is a different type of player than Victor Oladipo, but, Victor Oladipo was an all-star for 2 seasons. Still, he could definitely add some value to a team, but the problem with him is the same problem I have with a lot of these players, is that he just can't stay healthy, man. Like that's kind of his biggest thing, hasn't really played a season where he's played like 82 games, hasn't really played above 70, hasn't even played above 60 in a while, man. Like we talk about this season coming up. Hopefully he can finish the season out strong. I know he had an injury. Got traded again, only played 24 games the year before. The 2019-2020 season, it was just kind of like, we kind of look at the totals here, shooting about, 40% from the field goal and about 33% from 3-point land. I mean, it's not a good look for my opinion. I mean, we'll see what happens. But again, I'm not too convinced about Victor Oladipo at the moment being like the person that I would want. Even though I think he would be a great fit, it's just like, what's the trade value for him right now? Like, do you have to give up a first round pick? Do you have to give up certain things? Like, do you have to give up Kelly Oubre? Do you have to give up Andrew Wiggins? I mean, are you comfortable giving up Andrew Wiggins? I mean, I know Andrew Wiggins is not a fan favorite here on the Charge, but if we even just look at Andrew Wiggins' stats compared to a guy like Victor Oladipo, you can clearly see that the stats are so much better for him being in Golden State than it was in, I think he'd be a better fit for Golden State than I think Victor Oladipo would. I know that Victor Oladipo gives you a lot more, but like I said, it depends on what else you have to give up. At the end of the day, I'm really tired about. Really sorry about the yawning, man. It's getting annoying for me. But kind of the whole ordeal and kind of the situation that I see is that I think that you might as well just keep Andrew Wiggins shooting 35%, shooting 46. I mean, nothing above 45% or close to it for the longest time. So at the end of the day, I just think that that's probably a better shout than anything else. I don't think that you really need to add Victor Oladipo. I mean, like, unless you can get him on free agency, if you think that he's going to be a guy that wants to sign with you. Obviously, the only way they could get it is through trade. I mean, again, I don't know if we can even just look at the Golden State Warriors roster at this point and just kind of see who's on it. Obviously, we got Klay Thompson injured. You got Marquise Chris, Nico Mannion, two-way player. It's just kind of looking at all this stuff. Man, I actually watched a very interesting video on Andrew Wiggins, kind of talking about like his career path. I know a lot of people. I don't remember being one of those people that was like really enamored with Andrew Wiggins. I thought he was going to be a solid player. I thought he was going to be good, but he never kind of wowed me in the wow factor when I ever watched his highlights or when I watched him. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 games where it was live. Again, he's just a model of consistency. Like, he was never going to be like a superstar, all-star player, which I think everybody wanted him to be. And I think even you said, he was supposed to be better than Zach LaVine. And again, I just think when it comes to a guy like Andrew Wiggins, it's like, he has all the potentials to be that type of player, but I just don't think he unlocked it, and I just don't think that he works on it. And again, that's just my opinion. That's just from my perspective that I see it. In terms of trade, I mean, unless you want to get rid of Draymond Green, I'm not sure what his contract situation is looking like. No, not really doing too much on the floor. Still, getting that 29 points. Obviously, he's not like the best, player, but he still adds a lot of tremendous value. The little things that people don't really talk about. That's kind of the reason why everyone likes him so much. And, when you look at 3-point percentage, he had that 1 year where he shot 38%, 33, thought that was going to be his consistent mark. And then now it's like 20 something. So, it's a very interesting scenario that Golden State finds themselves in when it comes to, building their team, who to add. I mean, again, you look at Victor Oladipo giving you 20 points per game. I mean, that might be, an ordeal where, look, I mean, these two players are basically doing the same thing. Total rebounds, we got 5.2. Andrew Wiggins about 4.5. I mean, if you're willing to get rid of Andrew Wiggins and just have him go to Houston, then that might be the situation that the Warriors find themselves in. The one thing that you can't say is that Victor Oladipo has been an all-star, and Andrew Wiggins has not. So we'll see what happens. Again, this is just rumored. Again, we talk about this from Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer. I'm not sure what Houston's trying to do. I think Houston's trying to make themselves a little bit more of a bottom feeder team so they can kind of grow up and get some of these young players that are in this draft class right now, these next two draft classes. Obviously, that being Cade Cunningham, you got Chet Holmgren, you got Paolo Banchero, you got like a bunch of guys, Hardy. There's a bunch of guys in this next coming draft, not only this year with Kuminga, Suggs, Cunningham, Mobley. I saw a little bit of Mobley today. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Mobley right now. Gives me a little bit of Ayton vibes, like from the Suns, which isn't necessarily bad. I mean, if that's his ceiling, if that's his floor, then I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But I think I see a little bit of potential with Mobley. But it depends on like how much weight he puts on and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see how basketball changes in terms of like body shapes and all that stuff. We kind of saw it with Bobo a little bit with the way that his kind of body shape is. So again, we'll see what happens. But again, guys, Victor Oladipo is interested in a trade from, or I should say, the Warriors are interested in acquiring Victor Oladipo. Again, another ball handler. Kelly Oubre, not really much of a ball handler. You got Andrew Wiggins, not much of a ball handler, but you got Victor Oladipo, who's able to create his own shot. You look at the stats from Victor Oladipo, again, pretty similar to Andrew Wiggins, if not better. Averaging 17 points per game. I mean, Andrew Wiggins is a 20-point per game scorer, so I can't really hate on him too much. But again, you look at the Victor Oladipo, able to add the assists as well. So it's like you're adding another dynamic by having Victor Oladipo on the team than not. Again, the percentages from these guys are practically similar. Maybe the field goal percentage for Victor Oladipo is a little bit low this year, but career-wise, it's about 43%, almost 44%. So, I don't think that it's necessarily the worst thing in the world, but again, we'll see what happens as it pertains to Victor Oladipo. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of Victor Oladipo being a player that you could potentially see as someone that could potentially be a Warrior? Do you think that Victor Oladipo fits in that system, not fit in that system? Starting his days in Orlando, then going to OKC, and then going to Indiana. I just think that he's kind of been a travel veteran. And who knows, maybe he will, strive better when it comes to playing in the Warriors than I would say a guy like Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins right now is putting up these numbers with the help of, or I guess I should say with the help, because he's a 19.5. He's a 20-point per game scorer basically. So again, we'll see what happens with a guy like Andrew Wiggins. Does he move on? Does he go somewhere else? Starting his career in Minnesota and then obviously moving onward. It'll be a very interesting situation to see and to really figure out what next moves that the Warriors are trying to make, because I know they're trying to make a push with Steph Curry. They have Steph Curry for so long, in his prime years. He's about 31 years old right now. you want to take advantage of that opportunity that he is in his prime right now and just actually get to a championship game once again. I mean, we'll see what happens here. We got Eoy, Andrew Wiggins reminds me of Ben Gordon. Not similar play styles, but super high draft picks that can never really hit full potential. Could score 30 points, 20 points per game, but that's about it. And you're right, Eoy. He does kind of give off that Ben Gordon vibes. You guys don't know Ben Gordon from London. And he does kind of give up that vibe of like a player that's just not quite what he should live up to. But he's still like a good player. You know what I mean? Like he's not like someone that's a bum. He's not a bust. Maybe he is a bust in terms of like, everyone's expecting this guy to be like the next like Jordan. You look at the nicknames there: Maple Jordan, Junior Jordan, the Prospect, Mr. Fantastic, Wiggins or Wiggs. I'm not sure if I like Wiggs as a nickname, but people compared him to Jordan, and it's just kind of one of those things. He had the size, he had the athleticism. And again, just disappointed by the fact that he was just not able to get to that next step. And I think you might be right, Eoy. Just a step or two below, like getting to that full potential of this guy is going to be the next, Michael Jordan. You watch the highlight tapes, you watch all this stuff, and you just expected it. Yeah, and I do think that Andrew Wiggins just doesn't give up that vibe of he wants to get better, he wants to become better. It's the same thing I get with Ben Simmons. I know that I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, for bringing up Ben Simmons again in this channel, but I think Ben Simmons gives me that same vibe as well. Like just a guy that is really good, really talented. Obviously, he's going to make all-star teams because of his ability to pass the rock, the ability to do a lot of things, but just the fact that he's not able to really hone in on making sure that you get people the ball, that it's just kind of one of those things, like I said, with Ben Simmons, not really a huge drive to want to be better, but just kind of stay where you're at, kind of be level field with all your stats. And then eventually when you do get to that age where basically your skills decline, then you'll see a huge dip, especially with Ben Simmons and even with Andrew Wiggins. Will he be a 20-point per game scorer his whole career? That'll be tough, but with today's NBA inflated stats, he might be able to, with the way that the three-pointer is now more prevalent. And we'll see if Andrew Wiggins can just really develop that three again. I think the one thing that is going to be kind of interesting, we talked about Steph Curry and kind of how he revolutionized the game. That's going to be interesting to see if the game is going to change in the same exact way. Everybody loves the dominant power forward center type of builds, but is the NBA going to move away from that and just be like, well, that's 2 points. I could get some guy to shoot 3-pointers, and that's worth way more, and that's why the value of 3-point shooters is going to go way up. Again, who knows? I mean, it would be fun to see if that will be the case, but at the end of the day, it'll be kind of up to see how the game evolves in that sense. Because like I said, Andrew Wiggins was this dunker, high flyer, able to score in the paint, mid-range. We already see that the mid-range is almost dead. If not for a couple players that are kind of trying to keep it alive. But at the end of the day, 3-point shots and layups reign supreme because it's like those are the least amount of energy-filled things that you could do compared to, breaking your man down and trying to get a shot off, or, dunking the ball with so much tenacity, so much velocity that you're, dunking it, and then you basically exhaust energy that you probably just didn't really need to. But again, we'll see what happens. The game is still in an evolutionary stage with the way that, the 3-point shot is. We'll see if that kind of stays the same, or do we see a shift in the analytical culture? Before it was like everyone had a specific role. Now it's everybody does the same role. Everybody can be interchangeable in that sense. So again, we'll see what happens. But again, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of Victor Oladipo being interested, or being, having his services acquired by the Warriors? Is it a good move? Is it a bad move? Let me know in the comment section down below. We kind of talked about a little bit of, we got Blake Griffin signing with the Brooklyn Nets officially. Again, not sure he really adds too much value to the team besides, offensively, he's going to be a good piece. But defensively, does he do anything for you? Does he help them go over the Lakers, who I still think are going to win in 5-6 games? No, because I think that defensively, like I said, if you get a huge mismatch with Blake Griffin on defense, it's going to create a scenario where you're going to get LeBron James switched onto him, and LeBron James is going to blow right past him, or whoever's guarded by Blake Griffin is just going to blow right past him and just create an opportunity for them. And again, I just don't see that Blake Griffin is really that guy to really who the Lakers are lurking for right now. And we'll talk about that as our final segment of tonight. Again, we'll see what happens with it. I would love to see a scenario where, Blake Griffin does add some value to the much of a dunker anymore. Not really stats a while ago. We kind of look at Blake Griffin. I know was that his brother. I know it was Taylor Griffin was his brother. And again, we look at his stats, we look at his career numbers. I mean, it's crazy to think that this guy used to average 20 points per game and was really dominant in his time. But look here, man. Like, you look at the stats, not really high 3-point percentage marks. Like, the only year where it was really good was that Detroit year in 2018, 2019 at 36%. And, that was almost near his 3-point percentage mark, except for his 2014-2015 season where he was a 40% free throw shooter. I mean, obviously not attempting as many threes right now. I mean, we see kind of the jacking of shots when you go to a team like Detroit, and you just kind of see the scenario that you get in Detroit where basically you're the man, you basically get to do whatever you want, and you get 7 3-pointers a game. I mean, we look at before, it was like, not even averaging a 3-pointer a game, but as the game continued to evolve, you see more shots being taken by him to get them going. And again, I'm not really too amped up about this, but he doesn't really add much of value. 3-point, basically 4 assists a game. You get about 5 rebounds. I mean, not really going to do much defensively. Probably going to be more of a liability, in my opinion, than anything else. But again, we'll see what happens. Not necessarily the best, but again, it is another player that the Nets add, and we'll see. I think they have one more spot, which they're hoping to get with Andre Drummond. But again, Blake Griffin, great guy. Respectable, but at the same time, I just don't see Blake Griffin as like the answer to a solution to the Nets' problems. The Nets' problems are still going to be defense. It's still going to be rebounding, and I think it always will be until they figure out how to get some talent there besides kind of what's going on right now. But again, we'll see what happens. I'm not really too interested to see what's going to go on with them. But again, I still have the Lakers winning this whole thing. I still have the Lakers winning the championship. I still have them doing a lot of things. And I think the next story will kind of bring that to light as we talk about the Lakers preferring Andre Drummond. Do you think he's going to... I mean... I want to say so. I mean, we'll see, Eoy. I mean, I just think that the Lakers have an inside competitive advantage. We got the Lakers basically, preference their center with Andre Drummond over DeMarcus Cousins. I know that DeMarcus Cousins was on the roster before. I know that's kind of what they were looking at for their guy. But, I think Andre Drummond would be a much better fit. I mean, we look at Andre Drummond's stats. We look at what he can do. Again, not only does he add the rebounding, which is very valuable at like 13, 14. I know that these might be selfish rebounds in terms of he's basically just stat padding to get those stats up. Because, we live in a statistical era where basically your stats equate to how much money you get, which I think is kind of understandable. But again, I want to see a little bit better scenarios as it comes to that. But kind of going back to the topic at hand, again, averaging about 18 points per game. If he can just do that for the Lakers, I mean, that's over. I mean, you're basically won a championship if he's on this team. I mean, this is Lakers in 5 or 4, in my opinion, if you add Andre Drummond to the team. Because like I said, he's just so gifted in the fact that he's able to rebound, able to do so many things. And again, we look at kind of his numbers right now, 53% from the floor. Obviously not going to be shooting 3-pointers. I don't want him to. But if you look at his kind of stats from the season, you get a lot of interesting scenarios. About 47% from the floor. Look at the rebounding, 3.2, 2.6 assists, steals, not too bad, 1.2 blocks. I mean, he's still averaging a block a game. I mean, this guy could definitely do it all. I think that he's definitely one of those players that could really help out in that scenario. Let me see here. Make sure that we are live. just make sure that we're live really quick. I mean, it looks like that we're live. I mean, right now, you know, I don't know what YouTube's problem is right now. YouTube just kind of gives me some frustrating moments here and there. But again, you know, I do think that he is a good player. I do think that he adds some tremendous value, and we'll see what happens. You know, I think that Andre Drummond to the Lakers would be a great pickup for them. And I think, like I said, it would be over in 4 games. It wouldn't even be competition because for a guy that can average about, you know, he doesn't even have to average 17. He could just average 12 or 14 points a game. And again, it's another replacement for a Marcus Gasol, who again is a little bit older, not as what he once was, but still a decent player. And I think that he would definitely add some tremendous value to the team if he was able to be added to the roster along with Andre Drummond. And again, we'll see what happens with it. It would be interesting to know kind of what the scenario is as it pertains to him. And we'll see if the LA Lakers can potentially poach or even, you know, acquire Andre Drummond, who I think could be a really good asset to the team. Again, you know, rebounding wise, I think he's hungry for the ball, and we'll see what happens. Like, again, you know, it's one of those things that you look at it, you see the scenarios, you see the situations, and we'll see what goes on from here on out as it pertains to what the Lakers do for their near future moves. Again, you know, we got a lot of interesting scenarios, interesting situations, kind of adding to what the Lakers are going to try and do. And again, it looks like the stream is just not healthy right now. I'll try and see what's going on with it. Everything's good. Okay, everything's good. But anyway, guys, I mean, that's basically it for the Andre Drummond news. I mean, it's not really much to talk about. Again, you know, it's just kind of like the Lakers are interested in him, and just kind of like what I'm noticing so far. I don't think the stream died. It's just, are you having some problems on your end, Eoy? For some reason, they're like sometimes the stream's okay, sometimes it's not. But so far, it looks like it's okay on my end, but it could be, you know, wrong on other people's ends. So let me know what you guys are noticing in the comment sections and all that stuff down below. And I think the other story we can kind of talk about is just kind of the Lonzo Ball news. I mean, Lonzo Ball, of course, is being so mishandled right now in New Orleans right now. It's actually kind of crazy to say that he is, you know, probably one of the most screwed over players right now in the league because he's not playing the style and the system he wants to play. Obviously, you do have to conform a little bit to what you need from the NBA. But again, I'm not a huge fan of what Stan Van Gundy has done. So, you know, we'll see what happens there. But it looks like, you know, we see here that he's been playing better. Everyone's kind of like, okay, you know, Lonzo's playing better. He's looking good. So we're going to try and keep him and see if we can win a championship. Or maybe not even win a championship, but at least be competitive because, you know, the Pelicans right now are still in a rebuild mode with a young Zion and, you know, young Brandon Ingram, young Lonzo. Excuse me. And really trying to build a team there. So we'll see what happens. You know, it'll be an interesting scenario to see what they will do. But again, you know, the Pelicans right now are starting to look for you know, trade rumors, and we'll see if this trade rumor still continues, or do we see that this trade rumor's off, it's done, because it would be interesting to see what the NBA decides to do, or I should say NBA, but the Pelicans decide to do in the future, especially in the offseason, what their moves are going to be. Is it going to be for the kid that's from Alabama? I can't remember the guy's name. Eric Bledsoe, or are we going to go Lonzo Ball and just kind of deal with that there? Lonzo wants a little bit more money. You know, we've seen that his brother's been balling out. I'm sure Lonzo wants to be kind of the highest paid ball brother until LaMelo gets there. So we'll see what happens in that scenario. But again, let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think that Lonzo Ball should stay in Pelicans, or do you think that he should leave? In my opinion, I think he should leave unless Van Gundy's fired, because I like him so much. But man, it's hard to kind of root for him when he's getting screwed over by his coach. And again, I know Logan does not agree with me on that, but I just think that, in my opinion, that's the way it is. Again, you got Otto Porter Jr. Let me see the Athletic, just making sure that there's nothing kind of news and rumors from the Athletic. The only thing I could see is just kind of looking at the power rankings from the Athletic. We got Brooklyn Nets at number 1. You know, I know that they're 24-13, but I think that's a little ridiculous. The Phoenix Suns at 2, Jazz at 3. We got Philadelphia at 4. We got Milwaukee at 5. Clippers at 6, Lakers at 7. I mean, this is way too low for the Lakers in my opinion. 24 and 13. They're looking pretty good. I mean, I'm not convinced that the Lakers are the 7th best team right now. I know that this is the ranking system, so it's week by week basis. It's how the teams are performing for that week, but I don't know, man. I just think that that 7 is way too low. Denver at 8. You know, they're starting to come back a little bit more. Miami at 9. They're starting to come back a little bit, even though they're 18-18. Trailblazers, I think they're getting a little disrespected. I think Dame time probably should be a little higher than the Miami Heat at this moment. Dallas Mavericks at 11, I think that's a farce. I mean, they've been playing so bad. I don't see it. I know they're 18 and 16, but this is not, you know, what Luka Doncic signed up for. This is not even what the Dallas Mavericks signed up for. So for them to be 11 is a little ridiculous in my opinion. You know, Warriors at 12. Probably the best that they could hope for because, I mean, at the end of the day, they are in the playoffs right now. They are one game above 500. So, you know, they are doing their best to just kind of keep in there. But again, you know, I'm not really convinced that the Mavs are number 11. And again, the Golden State Warriors at 12, not too bad. I think this is probably one of the more disrespected teams. I know they say that they get an A, but they're ranked 13. I mean, we got the New York Knicks. I mean, the Knicks, I know my boy Pete, if he was on, he would be going after this article, having them at 13. He'd probably have them top 10 in my opinion. But, you know, I think the Knicks are a solid team. I think they're a good team. You know, it'd be interesting to see how they finish out the rest of the season. You know, they finished with an A grade for the first half. And I could definitely see that because they definitely are playing way above the expectations that everybody had. Everybody basically kind of wrote the Nets off as like a bottom feeder team, a team that's not really going to do too much. So, you know, it's not really that surprising that they are 13 at the moment. So, again, probably about the right ranking for them. Then you got the Boston Celtics at 14. You know, I think we should be a little bit lower. 19 and 17 for a team that's expected to be a contending team. I think we honestly should be about 17 or 18, just because I don't think we're playing up to the potential that I think we can do. Then you got the Raptors. I mean, to be honest with you, this is a D. The fact that they're 15 is kind of funny to me. You know, 17 and 19. You know, I don't really see them as the 15th best team. You know, the power ranking seasons. You know, I think that basically his first couple seasons is kind of. I think it's kind of like a 2021, like late 20s even, the way that the Raptors are playing right now, and they're looking to trade Kyle Lowry as well. So we'll see what happens there. Then you got Indiana Pacers with Domantas Sabonis. Probably playing as solid as they can. Obviously, they traded. You know, it sucks to see that Caris LeVert isn't being able to play right now because of a tumor. So, you know, hopefully he'll be getting back soon to playing. So we'll see about that. But C+ updated grade, I'm not sure about that one. Pelicans probably need to be a little bit lower. Spurs right now, 18 and 14. I think they need to go higher. Chicago, I think they probably should be a little bit higher. I know that a lot of people are kind of down on Chicago, but again, 16 and 18, I believe that they are still in the playoff race right now, the way that the current standings are. So, I mean, you got to put them a little higher, in my opinion. The Memphis Grizzlies probably ranked about where they should be. You know, just the injury to John Morant for those 2 weeks definitely hurt them. You know, the Charlotte Hornets, in my opinion, I think that they should be a little bit higher. Once they finally put LaMelo Ball in the starting lineup, this team is completely so much better. Like, I've never seen a team as good as the Hornets right now. Kind of a fun team to watch a little bit if you guys have League Pass. Kind of like that 4:00 game. That's usually around when those guys play, unless they're playing on the East Coast. But you know, I do like the fact that Charlotte is playing so much better. They won at the Wolves, obviously lost to the Blazers, but I think they're having a great season. You know, it's almost on par with the Knicks right now. Obviously, the Knicks are on a different stratosphere at the moment in terms of like, you know, kind of the better seasons. But again, the Charlotte Hornets should definitely be in this, and we see that the LaMelo Ball is the real deal. I've been telling you guys this. I know people did not. You know, what's funny to me, and I'll kind of go on a little bit of a side tangent here. The funny thing to me is that when I was watching a lot of these, you know, newscasters like, you know, Chris Broussard, I don't want to call it Chris Broussard because I actually like him. But, you know, Chris Broussard's, the Rob Parkers, you know, they were criticizing LeVar Ball for the way that LaMelo Ball, you know, kind of the transition that he went through with the Lithuania thing and kind of taking him out of high school to go play there. And I understand people had their concerns about it. But look, man, I mean, talent is talent, and you could see that LaMelo Ball had talent from a mile away. Like, obviously, you couldn't really see it because he was kind of like the little snot-nosed kid at, Chino Hills with his brothers playing there, with Lonzo probably having probably the historic, Chino Hills career. You got LiAngelo as well being very prominent in there. And then you got little LaMelo, and everyone kind of thought LaMelo was kind of like this younger brother. Could he hang with them? And then you kind of saw as he continued to get older, as he, was a junior and senior in high school, and then eventually played the 1 year where you're ineligible just because that's the way the NBA is at the moment. Hopefully they change that. And then you saw a difference. You really saw a different LaMelo Ball. You saw a LaMelo Ball who was much taller, much better, and you really saw him just, really tear up the league right now. And it is really awesome to see that. Again, not trying to be a LaMelo Ball or LaVar Ball apologist, but I really do like the fact that they have been playing so well in that regard. But continuing on, Atlanta Hawks, probably about where they're at, 22, not playing their best, not playing their worst, but again, probably underperforming with the way that the trade scenario went with all the pieces that they added in free agency. You expect a little bit more. Wizards probably, I think, should be last in my opinion. I know that right now the Thunder are kind of in that scenario. You got Cleveland in that scenario. You got Detroit obviously playing so terrible. Orlando Magic, I understand because, they're expected to go to the playoffs. Sacramento Kings, obviously really bad. Houston, horrible. And then you got the Timberwolves, who are absolutely god-awful. Again, no problem with this list. I think this list makes perfect sense. But I would like to see a little bit of changes here and there. But again, I think for the most part, the only shocking thing to me was really, in my opinion, what did we say? The Mavs at 11. I don't think that they played as a top 11 team in the NBA. They definitely played probably top 15, if that, kind of the bottom end of 15, 16, but definitely not 11. I think that they could do a lot better. I think they could do a better job. But at the end of the day, these rankings are from The Athletic. They're from Zach Harper. So again, it's the first half of the season, so we'll see what happens. And I think that's probably gonna do it here. I don't really see any other news that I can kind of talk about without kind of going into a side tangent or a different topic. We got Vucevic being rumored. Cam Reddish to undergo surgical procedure, placed in a walking boot. That's not very good. And again, not really too much to report on. Obviously, we got Anthony Simons winning the dunk contest. I think we talked about that a little bit as it was going on. Steph Curry won the 3-point shot. And I believe Domantas Sabonis won the skills challenge. But, at the end of the day, the NBA right now is kind of on hold until, trades go through before all these rumors kind of come in. I believe next week or this week is the final week for trade deadline. So we'll see what happens when it pertains to that. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to cut it here for the Charge right now. Appreciate everybody that came out tonight to watch the Charge again. To the 5 viewers, how many we had in here. I think we had about 11 people in here at one point. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you for coming in here, talking some hoops, kind of talking about it. Eoy, appreciate you, man. And again, guys, please remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. I'm going to try and go, try and make a YouTube video before I go live to kind of make sure that everybody understands that I'm going live at this hour. I think that might get lost in the sauce sometimes, just the way that YouTube is. So I'll try and be better about that myself. So again, I really appreciate each and every one of you that came out here today to watch the stream. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for coming to the Charge, bringing you the latest NBA news and rumors and basketball opinions. Appreciate each and every one of you. Remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And we'll catch you on the next video. Peace, guys.